Howdy folks, how you doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. I hope you're finding the love and that you're witnessing the blessings that are there in life in these difficult times. It's hard at times, I know, my friends, but we're in this one together, all the way. I'm offering these devotions as my little bit of hope, doing what I can, playing my role, being a part of the solution. These devotions are offered as a balm of the heart, for the mind, for the spirit and the soul. And the title for today's little devotion is Survival of the Friendliest. Survival of the Friendliest. So I invite us to still ourselves. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us. I have lit the flame of freedom in this cup of belonging, acceptance, and of love. We join together in our physical separation, but united in our devotion to life and to love. Be still with me and enter into the crescent fold of my arm as we join as one in this time and space. Wind your thoughts like a river toward the centre of who we are, as one humanity in this our shared world. Be still with me as we join together on the beautiful, beautiful journey. We are vessels sailing together in the ship of love and life, journeying on the waters of life, alive with purpose and strength unknown to us perhaps. Be still with me as we enter in this time together, in stillness, in the spirit of love, and in gratitude for life itself. Now the term Pollyanna is often used as a term of ridicule for the kind of person who lives with a childlike enthusiasm for life. Such people are told that they need to grow up and see the world for what it really is, that they need to have a realistic view of life and of human nature. Is this true? Do such people need to see the world for what it is, what others say it is at least? Need to get a realistic, life is not a good thing, they will say. It's full of darkness and suffering and pain, and you can't trust anybody. There's no good in life, they say. Grow up, they say. Is that how we need to see the world? Is it? Is that what the world is? Well, you need to decide. It matters how you see the world, it really does. In the book of Genesis, in the first chapter, the creation is seen as good. God looked at his creation and saw that it was good. Is life with all its ups and downs good? What about violence, war, senseless tragedies? What about germs, disease and famine? What about the coronavirus? The devastation that this has brought to life? What about the pain of our families, our friends, our loved ones? What about oppression? What about seeing those that treat people as being less than them? What about all the suffering and the things that we've done to each other? Good question. Some people seem to live with unending tragedy. They seem to experience it far more than the average person. And what always blows me away is that it is often the very same people who find the most joy in life. Even in extreme pain and suffering, they find joy. These are the kind of people that stand out as beacons to me. They are often the most joy and hope-filled people. They are angels, actually, in our midst. And from this joy, they give of themselves for others. Isn't it often the case that the people who have been through the greatest hardships become our guiding lights? Such people have learnt to balance the good with the bad, the joy with the suffering. They are able to see the goodness in their lives as a generous, if at times mysterious gift. Now, outsiders looking in at their lives may not see it this way. They may not. They may only see the suffering and trouble. But it's not always the case. Such people have genuine faith. People have not lost faith in life, but they see life as a gift. They see life as a blessing and not a curse, as some would look at their lives may well do. Such people see life's difficult moments as a challenge to rise up to, rather than a burden to be endured. They affirm life as very good indeed, despite the very real sadness and suffering that they know only too well, despite the real and imagined threats of violence from natural and man-made sources that are all around us. They see life as being very good indeed because of the gifts that it bestows upon us, the gifts that it gives us that can sustain us through the losses that we can all experience in life. It's wrong to mock such people as Pollyannas. They, to me, are people of genuine faith. They are people who know and experience love's true way. Don't mock them or ridicule them. Such people see life as very good indeed, not because they do not see the darkness present in life, and no doubt within themselves, but because they are able to rise above such challenges and even shine some light on them. Such light can guide us out of our own troubles if we only took time to pay attention to how these people live their lives and stop mocking them as Pollyannas. It is so easy to see life as a curse, as a veil of tears. I remember when I was at university reading Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, written just after the English Civil War. I was struck and disturbed by the bleakness of his view. I did not like it, but those words have stuck with me ever since, and in my darkest moments, I have agreed with them. In my darkest moments, in my darkest hour. Perhaps the most memorable words from the Leviathan are the following. Hobbes said, "Whatsoever therefore is consequent in a time of war, where every man is enemy to every man, the same is consequent to the time wherein men live without other security, than what their own strength and their own invention shall furnish them withal. In such condition there is no place for industry, because the fruit thereof is uncertain, and consequently no culture of the earth, no navigation nor use of the commodities that may be imported by sea, no commodious building, no instruments of moving and removing such things as require much force, no knowledge of the face of the earth, no account of time, no arts, no letters, no society, and which is worst of all, continual fear and danger of violent death. And the life of man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short." I'll just repeat those last few words. And the life of man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Whoa. Yeah, man. Maybe you agree. In your darkest hours, perhaps. For Hobbes, what is required is an ultimate authority to bring order to wayward humanity and to subjugate our anarchic and brutish nature. You will see similarities here to the traditional, perhaps, Christian view, at least in the West, of humanity's nature, that we are fallen and broken, rotten to our timbers, selfish to the core, due to Adam's original disobedience in the Garden of Eden, which led to humanity being cast out of paradise and being forced to suffer. But are we fallen, broken and sinful by nature? Are we rotten to the core? Well, strands of biology speaking from a purely secular perspective tend to agree. This has been named veneer theory. It was named by the Dutch primatologist Frans de Wiel as a way of labelling this Hobbesian view of morality that he is himself is highly critical of. It's his thought that civilization is merely a veneer, a cultural overlay, a thin veneer hiding our otherwise selfish and brutish nature. It's perfectly exemplified in the novel The Lord of the Flies, that novel tale. One of the proponents of the view was Thomas Henry Huxley, who believed that morality was not a part of our nature, that our ancestors did not become moral by evolution, but by choice. It's a dualistic view of humanity and the animals, really, separating them, suggesting that such instincts are not related to the social instincts of animals. It's a view shared by Richard Dawkins, who wrote in The Selfish Gene, "We alone on earth can rebel against the tyranny of the selfish replicators." The selfish replicators. Now, many have criticised this view from secular biological perspectives, of course, Stephen Gould being one of them, who along with Duvall himself likened our better qualities with that of the other animals, especially the apes. Stephen Jay Gould said himself, "Why should our nastiness be the baggage of an apish past, and our kindness uniquely human? Why should we not seek continuity with other animals for our noble traits as well?" I was recently came across a lovely quotation by Stephen Jay Gould from a colleague, a retired colleague who was minister at Altrincham and Urmston many years ago, the Reverend Peter Godfrey. He said, "Soon after the Twin Towers disaster in 2001, Stephen Jay Gould wrote the following: The patterns of human history mix decency and depravity in equal measure. We often assume, therefore, that such a fine balance of results must emerge from societies made of decent and depraved people in equal numbers. But we need to expose and celebrate the fallacy of this conclusion, so that in this moment of crisis we may affirm an essential truth too easily forgotten, and regain some crucial comfort too readily foregone. Good and kind people outnumber all others by thousands to one. The tragedy of human history lies in the enormous potential for the destruction in rare acts of evil, not in the high frequency of evil people. Complex systems can only be built step by step, whereas destruction requires but an instant. Thus, in what I call the great asymmetry, every spectacular incident of evil will be balanced by 10,000 acts of kindness, too often unnoticed and invisible as the ordinary efforts of a vast majority." Powerful, and isn't it true? How come the darkness always seems to get all the publicity? How come we say that a work of fiction speaks the truth about nature when it's allowed to run wild, and yet we doubt the story of the true Lord of the Flies? The beautiful tale of 6 Tongan schoolboys. Rutger Bregman, who I'm enjoying reading by the way, once again brought the real story of our consciousness, claims that society has always been based on the survival of the friendliest, actually, and the mistake that we have made is that we fail to have a realistic view of humanity, and that we focus too much on the wrongs that we do. Bregman's echoing views held by Viktor Frankl and Goethe. He suggests that to take a truly realistic view of humanity, we need to see them as better than they appear to be. We need to see us as what we're capable of being, and then, even if we fall short, we will at least achieve a realistic level of what we really are. There is great tragedy in life, but that's not all that life is. There's a great deal, so much more quiet goodness that we rarely celebrate. And it certainly gets very little publicity. As they say, they rarely print the good news. Why are only negative things called radical? What about radical decency, radical goodness, even radical okayness? You know, I once heard a wonderful speech on radical okayness. It was given by the father of the bride at my nephew Joe's wedding. I remember when I heard it, it caught me in that place deep in the soul of me. I remember him talking about the joys and the sorrows of life and the pain and the struggles that we all go through. And then he talking about an abiding love that's also present in life, that can hold us and sustain us in all of this. The father of the bride named it radical okayness. And this phrase really caught the heart of me. It awakened the soul of me. I thought, yes, that's it. And in my mind I began to sing a song I once heard, based on words by Julian of Norwich. The words were, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things, they will be well, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things, they will be well. It is so easy to look at the world through eyes of despair and say that it's not okay. There's something rotten in life. There is much that is not okay. I'm sure we could all make a long list of all that is wrong with life, particularly humanity. So yes, it's easy to say that nothing is okay. It's easy to fall into the Hobbesian trap, the Hobbesian nightmare, and believe, as he has said, and the life of man solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Or in the words of the confession in the Book of Common Prayer, that there is no health in us. Human beings do some terrible things to one another, and yet on the whole, what I see is goodness. And in the end, goodness does seem to prevail. It may take a long time, but it does. I do see an okayness in life when we choose it, when we bring it to life. This begins, I believe, by first of all seeing this, by bearing witness to this okayness. I suspect that radical okayness is about bringing this goodness to life in our very frail human lives. And when we do, we bring that kingdom of love to life. I would say that the boys, the true story of the boys, the true story of the stories of the Lord of the Flies, those true Tongan boys that got stuck on the island, that did not descend into chaos, that they lived together in harmony and helped one another. And a wonderful example, a perfect example of the kingdom of love come to life right here, right now. And a true example of what our nature actually is. Not a work of fiction by some bitter, drunk, violent man who was obsessed with the Nazis and fascism and the darkness in life, or Hobbes. These people are true realists. They're Hobbes they're not the real realists. They see a dark nature in humanity and have a very low view of what we're capable of being. They squash us down. That's not who we really are. And if we follow their lead, they bring a kind of nocebo effect that will make reality what we think it is, when reality can be so much more than that. There's so much more to us. A few weeks ago, Peter Godfrey and his lovely wife Sheila joined us for a Zoom service. During the service, Alison Jackson, a member from Queen's Road, who now lives away but's able to join us because of Zoom, something good that's come from it, reminded Peter that she was the first child that he'd ever baptised. Sheila, his wife, said that no child that he ever baptised cried. And I thought to myself, how wonderful and how beautiful that is. I love to conduct such ceremonies myself, although I prefer to call them blessing services. It's interesting to me actually what different Unitarians call these simple ceremonies. Perhaps each one, the name we use, says something about our own personal beliefs. Some call them naming ceremonies, others christenings and baptisms. I prefer blessings, for that's what I believe I'm doing. Yes, I use water in the ceremony, but not to wash away sin. I don't believe in original sin. Our tradition rejected it a long time ago. No child is born into this world carrying any baggage. I will not accept this. Instead, what I do is celebrate and bless the life of the child. I touch their brow, I touch their lips, and I touch their little hands to bless their thoughts, their words, and their deeds. I bless the child and I ask them to become a blessing to life, to do good with their life. And we all need to bless more. Gosh, we do. I then ask those present to make promises to the child and to their family, to offer guidance and to help them become a blessing to life. That they live their life as part of the kingdom of love, and that they become advocates of the survival of the friendliest, actually. Life is the greatest gift of them all. It is not a vale of tears. It is not solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Yes, it has its troubles and its challenges, and we all experience suffering, deep suffering from time to time. But it's still a gift. It's still a blessing. As the late great Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said, just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. So let's bless life, and let's do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, and all that we do. Let's make life very good indeed. Let's create the kingdom of love right here now and now. Let's engage in the survival of the friendliest. I'm going to end this devotion with a few words of blessing. You know, we need to bless more. And you know, we can all bless. We do so by giving our whole hearts to life. So let's begin today. Let's give our whole hearts to life. So I offer these final words of blessing. Many days we share life together and flower and flow with all that is and was and ever shall be. Let's bless life in our hearts and through our thoughts, our words and our deeds. And it will bless us in return. And it will do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.